These are supposed to be cat ears, but I swear they just look like bunnies. It's depressing. Hi all! Today I wanted to be reviewing Taylor Swift's new album, Lover. I have my girlfriend Mia with me for this as well. We did a bit of a collab. I also talked about the album on her channel, so I'll put the link in the comments below so you can check that out.
We also had a third special guest on that channel, but you have to
we
go
did.
see to
There's
find
a
out.
surprise special guest that's very thematic. So on her channel, we pretty much talked a lot about the music and how we feel about the overall. On this channel, I wanted to go a little more into something I feel is really great about this album. I know it's about love in all its forms, and I know that's a primary theme, obviously, title, and she said that repeatedly. But related to that, I feel like this is such a great, empowering album when it comes to mental health and self-acceptance and self-love and kind of finding healthy love. So I wanted to examine the album through that lens. I'm so excited. No, I've always loved her music. I've always found it inspiring and encouraging, but kind of in that I can relate to you way, like we're going through the same problem. But this album feels very almost aspirational. It's like, yes, this is what I'm wanting. These are goals. This feels good. Like, it just feels like such a healthy album overall. And I thought that while listening, and then, because I didn't read, I got the special editions, all 4 versions, because I'm trash.
And I enabled you.
You did enable me while judging me the whole time. But I didn't read, because I have this thing where when I listen to an album for the first time, if I know it's an artist I love, I like to just go in as cold as possible. So I didn't read the forward. I didn't read anything about it if I could get away with it. I saw the track list, which I tried not to, but I couldn't help looking on the back when I was opening it, and I'm like, ah. But so anyway, when I listened to the album, I'm like, this is so great mental health wise. But when I read her forward, I felt validated. But in it, she's talking about going through her old journals back when she was a teenager, and she's talking about how she expected to write about all the things she was sad about, but she realized all these little moments that were actually good moments too.
This is my first time seeing this.
I wasn't sure if you looked at it yet or not.
No.
But
I figured you're the best way to, like, get me involved in this crazy level of depth that you applied to this album.
But I feel like it's summed up well in these few things she says. This one quote, "In life, we grow up and we encounter the nuanced complexities of trying to figure out how to be, how to act, or how to be happy. Like invisible smoke in the room, we wonder what kind of anxiety pushes you forward and what kind ruins your ability to find joy in your life. We constantly question our choices, our surroundings, and we beat ourselves up for our mistakes. All the while, we crave romance. We long for those rare, enchanting moments when things just fall into place." And this I found so relatable. "I've decided that in this life I want to be defined by the things I love, not the things I hate, the things I'm afraid of, or the things that haunt me in the middle of the night. Those things may be my struggles, but they're not my identity. I wish the same for you. May your struggles become inaudible background noise behind the loud, clear voices of those who love and appreciate you. Turn those voices up in the mix in your head." And I love that so much because it's so easy. See? It's so easy to become what is wrong with you, or the struggles you've gone through, or the things that are hard in your life, or the things you've been through. And I feel like this album is so much about overcoming that, and not in a very shallow brush off way.
Right, and without, like, totally dismissing the label.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of like owning it.
Yeah, it's owning it. Like, you acknowledge what you've been through, you've acknowledged all of that. And overall, I think the album really speaks to that, because it's not just, 18 romantic love songs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's about all kinds of love and all types of love.
Or my personal favorite Taylor love songs, the revenge ones.
Yes, but that's like the opposite of this album. And on that note, I thought we could just go through each song and talk about how they relate.
There will be a test.
I wish, God, if I could be graded on albums, I'd be so happy. Well, the first song, I Forgot That You Existed. When I first listened to it, I was iffy on the song, but then as I got into the album as a whole, I got way more into the theme of it, and I think it's so healthy, because it's really easy to think that you've moved on past somebody if you're angry, or if you can take revenge on them, or if you can win against them. And this song was very much a, you know what, I don't have to bother myself with you any longer.
Exactly. It's very much the philosophy of, like, the only way to win is to not play the game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it makes me think, because, like, this is a little dark, but, like, my abusive ex, I would have fantasies all the time where I'd be like, if I were driving a car, I just wouldn't stop. I would just run them right over. And now it's much more of a just, like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I don't want to hear about you.
Right,
I
you literally don't think about them.
Yeah. And I think it does a great job of capturing that feeling, because I love the little pauses in between like the verse and the chorus where it just almost was like meditating. It's just that like clarity of mind, like you're not weighing me down any longer. And I think that's so healthy.
Right, and it's sort of that, like, for me, it was that moment of, like, if you encounter them in the wild and you're like, I forgot that you existed.
Yeah,
like,
you're not going to be,
she's
like...
shocked by her own realization.
Right? It's almost like, oh, I remembered you, which meant I had forgotten you. When did that happen? Which is... And that's also the way it sneaks up on you. Like, I feel like a lot of times recovery will sneak up on you. You won't notice the progress you've made until something happens to make it obvious, and you're like, oh, I did do that. I did move past it.
I agree completely.
Cruel Summer, I think, is interesting in this standpoint because it is admitting how hard it is to lie and try to fit yourself into an unhealthy relationship and try to be chill and be cool, and how that just kind of explodes out of you. Like, I do feel like the album's not purely aspirational in that sense. It definitely does deal with what happens when you don't take care of yourself. You're not loving yourself perfectly.
When you box yourself in with the wrong labels, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, Cruel Summer, like, that is not a healthy relationship. She's not happy. She's miserable in it. She's like, no, I can be fine. I can be chill. I can be light. I don't really care about this. But that's really what it does to you. And I really like having that explored and having it just be honest. Like, I feel like it's the kind of things you don't say out loud very often. So it's nice to be able to, like, get that out and deal with it.
I agree. I have nothing more to add.
Lover, I think, is just such a great example as to what, like, a mature, healthy relationship is, and that kind of surprise of realizing what an actually healthy romantic relationship is.
Right, and following up on the aspirational side of things, can I go where you go?
Yeah.
You know? She wants to not follow so much, but be there with this person through their life.
It feels very adventurous. Like, it feels to me almost like the little kid in you finally getting to be an adult and do the things you wanted to do, you know, leaving up the Christmas lights and inviting your friends over and having slumber parties in the living room, and like, we can do all this together. And I think You Save All Your Dirtiest Jokes for Me is one of the most romantic lines ever, and I think it's such a great way to sum up that intimacy you do get in a healthy relationship, where it's like, I have something with you that I'm not controlling you, I'm not boxing you in, but you saved this for me, like, this is just us. And it's so pure, kind of.
Exactly. And I was going to say, like, hold on, I'll remember that when I make my jokes to you, but I'm like, actually, your jokes are way dirtier and darker than mine.
And I love it too, because I feel like it's not super sugar-coated and everything's perfect. It's just kind of this, like, hey, we get to have fun together, we get to have a life together.
Right.
I think that's so healthy.
It's almost whimsical in that way. It's like that playful, like, but mature, not like childish, but almost childish, sort of like when you know you're doing something silly, like wearing cat ears, or going out in like a unicorn horn on your head, or something like, or dressed as a Christmas tree.
I do it.
This happened. I'm not making this up. Yeah, no, it's that silly, fun, light, effortless joy, jubilance, and whimsy.
It's getting to be completely yourself with somebody else.
Right, exactly.
Really
not
nice.
having to hide any aspect of yourself, and in fact getting to explore and expand on and express those, like, stronger feelings.
The next song is The Man, which I think is so great for a mental health empowerment thing too. Like, I know it's feminism, but I feel like it's also really important for mental health, because it's, me personally, I get really bogged down by that with my mental health, where it's like, when you take on that whole weight of the patriarchy and sexism, and you do feel worthless and lesser, and like, it's just exhausting to constantly be working harder to get the same level of respect as somebody else, or less, and to constantly be attacked and to be slut shamed, to be attacked for every little thing you do and disbelieved for everything you do, including coming out about assaults or something. And I love how direct she is. Like, she doesn't sugarcoat it. It's not a bunch of metaphors. It's just like, nope, here's my list, here's examples, here's what you're doing wrong, and I'm just sick of it. And she's not like, oh, I'm going to give up, I'm not going to work anymore, I'm not going to do it. She's just like, I see you, like, I'm calling you out. And I think that's really empowering to do.
Right, and she's not like, I will burn you to the ground, MFers. She's like, you know, I see you over there, but I have to wonder, like, would my life be different? It sort of feels like her exploring that idea, like, it feels like her inner thoughts. Like you said, I see you over there, and it makes me wonder how you treat me if things were different.
Yeah, right. It's calling out the unfairness, which I think is really important, because it's hard to move past something if you don't call it out and acknowledge it in the first place.
Right, and I'm trying to say, like, it's not really an attack. She's not attacking anyone specifically, but she is, like, frustrated by the system and everything.
I agree. I do kind of feel like it's a bit of an attack, but I also like that it's an attack. You know what I mean? I can see taking it differently, though. To be fair, you do listen to probably angry music than I do. The next song is The Archer. I think this is really important because it's recognizing, and it comes up in other songs later too, but this is a great example of just recognizing your own flaws. Like, where she's realizing that, oh, I claim I don't like to fight, but I sure do start a lot of fights for somebody that does, and I keep attacking this person, and it's that whole, she's doing it out of fear of, you know, who could ever leave me, but who could stay? Like, it's trying to play it off like, oh, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, when she's admitting, no, I don't think anyone's ever going to stay with me long term. I'm just going to chase you off before you can possibly ever leave me.
I think this is why I don't like the song.
That's why I thought you would like this song lyrically. I'm like, oh, this, like, when I listen to the song, I'm like, oh my god, this song's really gonna hurt you.
I literally had this conversation with you today. Like, I was literally saying to you, I can either accept that you love me or that you know me very well.
Yeah.
But not both. Because that's impossible. I'm having a moment. Just continue.
No, but I think it's really important with that, and similar to the man, where you can't move past external struggles until you acknowledge them and admit what they are and admit they're not your fault, you also can't move past your internal struggles until you acknowledge what they are and admit them, because then you can start dealing with them. Because by the end of the song, she's like, wait, you could actually stay. Like, nobody could stay, but apparently you can, and maybe I need to just accept that and stop trying to freaking attack you every 10 seconds.
Why are you looking at me
Well,
with this?
You're just there, that's all.
No contextual relevancy in our lives whatsoever.
Yeah, no. Context, we've had issues with similar things.
I have PTSD.
Yeah, mental health stuff, so it's hard.
It's been fun for everyone involved.
This next one, it's not as strong with, like, the mental health, like, healthy self-love thing in general, but I do think it's, like, self-awareness, which is really nice and feeds into it, and it's I Think He Knows. I think the song's just so much fun in that sense, because she's being completely honest about her own desires and really owning it, even if she's, like, almost annoyed by it, but she's still, like, playing with it. One of my favorite things, like, I'm trying to absorb more of it. I love the way she says, he's so obsessed with me, and boy, I understand. I just love the way she says, I understand, because it's just, like, this whole, it's tongue-in-cheek, but she's also, like, owning the fact that she's sexy and she's desirable. And of course you're obsessed with me, and you're as obsessed with me as I'm obsessed with you. Like, it's kind of like...
I really messed up my hair on that one.
I really like it, because instead of it just being, this is a hot person that I want, it's this is a person that I want, and you know what? They want me too, because, like, they're just as obsessed, and I really think that's fun. We don't get that a whole lot, especially from girls.
It reminds me of the sort of magnetism that we had when we met. Because I was like, oh no. I can't not like this person. And
it's just such, like, I think it's just such a healthy, flirty crush song, while, like, I like it instead of just idolizing the other person, it also makes you kind of idolize yourself. It's like, you know what? This person is irresistible, and they think I am too. That's awesome.
I mean, for me, one of the marks of a healthy relationship is feeling like we are better together.
Yeah, and it should make you feel good about yourself.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
It's just very fun
like, we
and
build
playful.
each other up. That's mutual growth, you know?
I also think it's really great, especially given a lot of her images that she's had in the past and things she's grown from, not looking down on them, just saying you grow up. I really love the fact that she's really owning her sexuality in these songs, and she's owning the fact that, like, I heard a couple people complaining that the lyrics weren't mature and sexual enough. I'm like, you're not really listening. Like, she's not vulgar, but she's definitely owning, like, I want you, you want me. Like, she really, like, she was in love with the, you know, mentioning the dirty jokes and stuff, and, like, it just keeps coming up, but in ways that are really subtle, but she's not ashamed of it. She's not hiding it, which I think is not that common, especially for someone who's doing, like, moody romantic songs. It's normally, like, in-your-face sexuality and vulgar, which I don't have anything against, but I feel like you get vulgar or you get chaste, and that's about it in pop music. And I really love that this is, like, I'm in between. I'm romantic, and romance for me involves sex, which I think is really cool.
And, like, that's, to me, more natural. You don't ever, in my opinion, when you're healthily in love with somebody or infatuated with them, you don't feel just one or the other. You feel a combination of both, or it ebbs and flows in one direction or another over time.
Yeah, depending on sexuality, for
Exactly,
sure.
exactly.
The next one, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince, I think is so important in this whole, like, self-acceptance and self-love and healthy self-awareness and moving on from stuff, because the fact that it's, like, like she said, the song is about the 2016 election and kind of losing the idealism of the country. I really feel like it's about realizing things you had wrong about your country and still loving it in spite of it, but realizing that there is a lot of work to do. Things aren't okay, especially like you know, she's white, she's cis, she's straight. It's a place of a lot of privilege in a lot of ways.
Not to mention the whole like millionaire thing.
It just feels like the whole like waking up, like, oh, there is stuff to do, there is work to do. And I love what she said, that the song is about finding someone you can be with during that fight and during the darkness, and while everything's awful, you find someone to hold on to. I think that's a really, again, a healthy form of love. Not if you become codependent and they're the answer, but just someone to be in the fight with you is a really great thing.
No, having similar political views with you has been really nice, because I really don't think that I could like handle being around a Trump supporter right now.
I could not.
No,
either.
I can't deal with that. And like, knowing that you feel exactly the same way about these issues that I do really does help me feel less alone with it, and in a very personal way, you know? Because it's like, the person who loves me agrees with me. I don't know, it's just different.
And the other thing I love about the song is that realization at the end that you don't want to fight, but you have to. I think that's true for a lot of things. Like, you may not want to have to fight for your mental health. You may not want to have to fight for a healthy relationship. You may not want to fight for acceptance in the country or for your political beliefs to be put into action. Like, you may not, no one wants to fight for that. Like, no one wants to go to therapy. No one wants to like have to move on past this stuff. It's hard. And I love that she acknowledges that, like, this is hard to do. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it, and it's going to be okay in the long run. Like, however scared I am of this, it's going to be all right. And it's a really scary song, I think, but then it ends on this like, it's going to be okay, but because we're going to fight for it. And I think that's such an important thing with activism or mental health or self-love, anything like that. I feel like you have to really work and know that it's going to come out okay, but it's not fun to do. It's terrifying.
No, I completely understand and relate to that. And for more information, go to my channel and look at the videos and just scroll down.
The next song is Paper Rings, and you're getting distracted by the journal.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
The next song is Paper Rings, and I love it for so many reasons. And it feels like just a fun, playful song, but I feel like there's a lot of like clues to a very healthy relationship in this song. Like, obviously the whole not wanting materialism or having that not be the focus, but one of the things I love the most is the song starts out with the whole, you know, you kiss me because, like, listing all the reasons why he's kissing her to reassure her, to make her feel better. And then I love that the next time she says that, she's doing that for him. Like, it's a back and forth. It's not just a, oh, you make me feel better and you take care of me. It's a, you reassure me and then I reassure you. I think that's so important.
No, it's you build each other up.
Yeah, exactly. So I love the song partly for that. I think that's just such a healthy representation of we're here for each other. It's so great.
Plus, it's such a punk song. I love it.
I do. I love that too. Cornelia Street, I think, is such an important song for acknowledging how scary it is starting anything that's good for you, for the fear of what's going to happen when you lose it, which is very tricky with a lot of people getting into a healthy relationship or getting into therapy or anything like that. Like, it's not just relatable to me in a romantic relationship. It is with a lot of things, but it's kind of a, oh my god, if this goes bad, how much am I going to lose? And it's so scary. Like, it's really scary being vulnerable in a relationship, even a friendship or anything, because it's like, how bad could this go? And obviously, if you have mental health issues, you're going to be very prone to thinking you don't deserve something like that.
Right. My PTSD in particular gives me a lot of trust issues, and I'm saying this to you, but you're just here. You know this. Like, it's really hard to trust again after you've been burned.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No. And it's a hard thing to do. And like, you can know how bad a breakup is. You can know how bad a loss is. And especially if you've lost family or friends or anything like that in the past too, it makes it even worse, where it's like, I know how bad this can get.
And the deeper you get into that relationship, the more time and energy and like of yourself that you invest in that person, the more that rejection will just crush you.
Right? It's really interesting because the song is like a love song and like a breakup song when they haven't broken up. It's a really interesting mix. It's the way your head can just cycle and be like, oh my god, this is how bad this is gonna hurt me. And it's like, really easy to turn that into, and this is why I shouldn't do that then. And the fact that she doesn't decide that, she's just acknowledging, god, this would kill me if it were over, but she doesn't stop. I think that's really important.
We've lived together for 6 years now.
Yeah.
And like, that was a really daunting prospect, because like, and I'm like, oh, this is scary. Like, if this doesn't work out, I have nowhere to live. Like,
Yeah, no.
you know, it's a whole other level.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Death by a Thousand Cuts. I love this song, and for it really, to me, speaks to the way it feels when you have to pretend to be okay when you're not. And I relate to that a lot with mental health issues, with like, you try to brush it off. Like, you kind of can't always admit how, like me personally, I have a hard time sometimes admitting how bad my mental health is, because if I was, I'm just like, I would just fall apart. I couldn't do anything. That's probably not the healthiest thing, because I know you need to admit it, you need to ask for help, you need to be open about it. But a lot of times it's just like, you try to convince yourself, no, it's nothing, it's not a big deal. But then it really is. It's this horrible thing you're going through, like, you know, it's death by a thousand cuts, but you have to brush it off and play light and play like it's not a big deal. And the song, to me, just, it so hits me there. It so hits me on the days where I don't want to get out of bed, and instead you have to, like, go out with friends or show up to work and be like, it's fine, it's no big deal, it's whatever.
No, I can 1,000% relate to that. You know, I don't really want to go deeper into that on this channel, but like, there was a time in my life where I was living an existence that was not my own, and I knew it, and I could do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And I knew who I was, I knew what I was supposed to be, and I just had to go through days and days and days of just every single time that someone would address me or talk to me, I had to deal with this, like, little cut, you know, just a little cut 1,000 times a day.
London Boy, I know it seems like just a fun, silly, goofy song. Something I love about it, though, is I feel like it really does relate to, especially if you're moving past bad experiences, I feel like it really does capture what it's like to make your own home and to find a new place and find your new tribe. I think it's such a great example, and it's silly, it's tongue-in-cheek, it's light, but that's the way I feel like that should feel then. It shouldn't always be this huge dramatic thing. It's just like, you know what, this is great, I like it here, I feel safe here.
Yeah, it's kind of a family of choice type thing.
Yeah, it's like I like this world, I want to be a part of this world, and it's not even like an idealized, I mean, it sort of is, because it's an unrealistic, like, you couldn't hit all those places in a day and all of that, but she's being very...
We just found the flaw in Taylor Swift's album.
And she's being very adamant about, like, you know, you don't have to take me somewhere fancy, you don't have to show me big things, I just want to be a part of your world, and it's kind of finding a new happy place with people that you care about, and I love that. It gives me that feeling of, like, finding your own home. It's kind of that Lover vibe again, of, like, I've made this world and I like it.
No, exactly. I completely agree with you.
The next song is Soon You'll Get Better. I have a very hard time listening to this song because of a few particular things in my life, but, again, I think it's important to acknowledge, like when I lost somebody, I really grieved in unexpected ways, and you feel very guilty sometimes for having particular thoughts, and I think the song does a really good job of capturing the unexpected ways you might feel whenever you're grieving somebody, where you feel like you shouldn't, like if someone's dying, you shouldn't be busy thinking, like, or you feel like you shouldn't be busy thinking, how is this going to affect me, what am I going to do now, like, why am I being so selfish, but you do feel those things. And I think this song, it's really important to acknowledge those feelings and be like, okay, I'm not a monster because I'm thinking this way, because, like, I had weird thoughts when I lost some people, you know, and it makes you feel wrong sometimes, like, oh, I'm not grieving in the right way. And I think this song does a really good job of capturing
right way to grieve.
Exactly, everyone does it differently, and I think the song really captures how it does kind of become a selfish thing to you, because of course it does, like, you're thinking about yourself partly too. It can't just be the other person.
For me, it also captures the real helplessness of it, because it's the whole, like, because you have to.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't know how to function without this person in her life.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't handle thinking that this is going to happen, and you have to just kind of force yourself to go about normal daily routines and try to keep up with your life. When you really can't, you're really falling apart. And I just think, again, acknowledging these things are so important.
I agree.
I listened to the song just like once though, and I don't know if I will again for a while.
It's a hard song.
Yeah. The next song's False God. I feel like it's another one that is, like Cruel Summer, is almost a warning of what happens when you're not in a healthy place and actually acknowledging it. I do like that there's like a little bit of hope in the background still, that, hey, we do have these things going for us, maybe we could still work this out, but it's really about that, like, I've decided to idolize this relationship, and so now I'm going to hang on to it, and you're going to hang on to it, and we're just going to cling, and this is in opposition to the other songs in the album. It's just like, not healthy, but she's also acknowledging it, which I think is huge. Like, it's a lot of love songs I feel like are this without acknowledging that it's not healthy. And so I think this is very different in the fact of like, oh, we're going to like completely worship this love and what we have going, even though it's not healthy. And I know it's not. And I think that acknowledgement, again, you can't move past something until you've acknowledged it. And I feel like it's such a trope to just idolize a relationship, even if it's messed up in a pop song, and just be like, this is normal, this is love. And a lot of people absorb that as like, oh, that's what love is.
Right, like
it's
the
supposed
songs
to be
they
dramatic.
play at weddings, I'm like, are any of you hearing the lyrics?
Right? Like, I think it leads a lot of people thinking that like love has to be crazy dramatic and constant fighting, and that's what passion means. And it's like, no, this isn't a healthy thing.
Or, and hear me out, it's about Thanos.
How is this about Thanos?
Because he's a false god. Loki told us he'll never be a god.
Now I'm just sad. You mentioned Loki. That's all it takes to make me sad. Next song, You Need to Calm Down. Similar so much to the vibe
Don't tell me how to live my life.
of I Forgot That You Existed. I love the fact, one of my favorite things about this song is the fact that it's kind of like just brushing someone off your shoulder. Like, it is acknowledging that they're behaving badly. It is like, it's that whole thing with like, you know, you can't control what people do to you, you can only control your response. To me, this song feels like that. It feels like a, wow, I see where your motivation's coming from. You're being awful. I'm gonna go over here with my cooler people and you can go sort yourself out. Like, it just feels very much like a, I'm not gonna let you, I know you're trying to get to me and I'm not going to let you get to me, but I'm also not gonna let you get away with it. I'm going to call you out and then move on.
You mad, bro?
It's like, it's not starting a fight. It's not, you know, being crazy aggressive. It's not letting someone consume you or get to you or deciding that you're going to be like, you're going to act out just in response to them. It's like, we're going to keep being ourselves. You can go deal with yourself because you are the issue. It's really acknowledging the other person's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, it's directing the energy in the correct way.
Yeah.
It's saying, that's a you problem. I'm going to be over here with my
Exactly.
friends,
Like,
living
it's
my
not,
best life.
Exactly. Like, it's not a me problem. It's not my friend's problem. You're not going to change anything about me.
And I'm not going to be able to change anything about you, so
and also, like, I'm not
stop
gonna,
attacking me, thank you.
Right? And also, like, I'm not going to engage with you because what am I going to get out of this? Like, it's just... And I like the fact that the song feels happy because I feel like that's what you get when you don't let these people get to you.
Right,
you
which
know?
is kind of strange because, like, when I avoid that kind of conflict, I feel like, oh, maybe I didn't do enough. Maybe I should fight harder or something.
Yeah.
But, like, I do feel worse when I engage with those people because I never win.
And that's where, again, I feel like a lot of this album is really aspirational because it's like, this is the goal to get to where I'm not harping on this every time if I don't
and again,
respond to somebody.
Exactly. And it's that whole, like, thing again of, like, the only way to win is to not play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Just not letting them get to you. Like, you know, freaking trolls on Twitter don't want to actually learn. They're just trying to get a rise out of you.
I've talked to you about some of the things people have said to me on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. People
it's
get
a
terrible.
rough world out there.
It is, and I just feel like there's no need to let them completely consume you and take over. And it's hard. It's very hard. It's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
Next is Afterglow, and similar to Archer, I feel like it is... You're okay. It's definitely acknowledging your own flaws and your own issues and the things you have to work on, whether or not the result of mental health or past trauma or just problems in your personality. It's like, I need to work on this and move past it. And also, there are still good things in the relationship, and there are things worth getting better for in this relationship in particular, you know? It's kind of the opposite of False God. Like, False God is like, this relationship isn't good, and this song is like, this is a good relationship, and I am messing it up, and I need to work on myself.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying much more.
You don't want to talk about the song, okay?
Again, I have PTSD. There have been things. It's,
yeah.
You know, I can relate to this song a lot.
The next song's Me, and
This whole album is me.
Well, I think it's really interesting because the song is clearly very tongue-in-cheek and playful. And I kind of like it because so much of this album is acknowledging your flaws and your issues. And this song is kind of a playful, yes, I have flaws and issues, but I'm still a good person. And I'm not awful, and I'm still worth being with, even if I'm flawed. And it's not a, oh, I'm never going to work on my stuff, because, you know, 80% of the rest of the album is talking about how she's going to. But this song is kind of a, I need to not spiral and think I'm worthless, because I still do this, we still do this for each other, we still have this to offer each other. I think that's really fun.
I agree completely.
She also mentioned that she partly wrote the song because she thought that'd be great when she feels down to go to a concert and hear all these people singing it back. So I like the fact that, like, even for Taylor, this is a buck me up when I'm feeling down song, and reading that's really what made the song click for me. Like, it's not just, before I'm just like, oh, this is just a whatever playful bubblegum song, cool, but that really hit me as like a, no, this is when you're feeling like all the flaws she's listing instead of, because at first I kind of took it as a whole, if you don't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best,
right,
kind of thing.
It's definitely not
it's
that.
definitely not that. Once I got that perspective, it's kind of a, when I'm not accepting me at my worst, I need to remember, no, I am still awesome. Like, it's a buck yourself up song, which I think is really fun. I like that a lot.
Right, without going quite so far as false god.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a, oh, this is a very unhealthy relationship. It's just kind of a, I'm feeling really down on myself. We just had a fight. Maybe I'm not good enough to be in a relationship. And this song's kind of the way to buck yourself back up, to be like,
right,
I do deserve friendships. I do deserve love.
To remind yourself that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of all of these things that you're fighting for.
Yeah. And I think that counts for self-love or friendship or romantic love, any kind of love. I think this song's just kind of a, I still deserve love. I'm still awesome, even if I have all these problems, you know, which is a big deal.
I'm awesome because of my problem. No, no.
I don't think it's that. It's nice to have a friend. I think the song is just so healthy and sweet and pure, and I think it just really gets to the core of what a great relationship is, where, like, at its core, it's really just having a lifelong friend right by your side and that support you get. And I love that, you know, if it's cold and I lost my gloves, you give me one. And it's not you give me both. It's not like you completely suffer for me. I love that, because it's not like, oh, I completely sacrifice for you, but
right.
It's I'll make things a little bit harder for me if it makes things a little bit better for you.
Exactly.
And we will do this together.
We
I
will
be
share
on
in the
your side.
misery and the, like, joy.
Right? It's just, I think it's so sweet and so right, again, to the core of what a healthy relationship is. And I love it so much. I think it's so sweet. It just makes me happy.
I agree. It is nice to have friends.
And then the last song, Daylight. I just think the song is literally about waking up and realizing what actual love is. And I don't, while it's clearly romantic love, I don't think the song can exclusively just be about that. I think it's also realizing what self-love feels like, what mental health feels like, what political involvement feels like, what friendship feels like. It's like, this isn't the fantasy I have been taught. This isn't like the dark, crazy drama I have been told I was supposed to be looking for. It's just healthy and clear and natural, and just that like awakening of, oh, this is what I was supposed to be going for. It's not this big, necessarily dramatic thing. I think that's so important.
I think it's kind of a love letter to her teenage self.
Yeah.
Because, like, any adult who's ever talked to a teenager knows that for them, everything is urgent and immediate and, like, pressing and high stakes, and, like, it is the most intense thing they've ever lived through. Because they're just, like, feeling these emotions for the first time and everything and, like, all that. But, like, it's sort of like a, you need to calm down, it's gonna be alright and everything. Like, life is long, that whole thing. And you can't really explain that to a teenager. They just can't understand it. That's sort of the nature of being trapped in the teenager's life.
Exactly.
You know? Like, you literally don't know enough to know that it gets better.
And it fits because, you know, she's going through her old journals and everything, so she's seeing, like, oh, this is what I thought love was going to be.
Right.
And I think, again, all kinds of love.
Exactly. Remember what I thought my life would be like and what it was like to be an adult, you know?
Yeah, and she literally has songs about, oh, I miss being in a relationship where I was fighting in the rain with people and stuff. So, like, that's definitely been a thing she's done, and I get very into those songs. And I love the placement on the album. I love that it starts off with forgetting your past. Like, I feel like it starts off with, like, a clean slate, and then the whole album is just working through sorting out what my problems are, like what I actually want in a relationship, what I feel about my friends, how I feel about my country, how I feel about all these things. And then you do all that hard work to then get to Daylight, to get to the end. Like, you have to go through The Archer and False God and Afterglow and all of these things, and then also the fun, because, like, things are fun and playful along the way too. It's not all gloom and doom. I feel like it's definitely that progress of recovery, basically, where it's like you start from a clean slate, you do the hard work, and then you end up somewhere that wasn't what you expected, but is actually
healthy
what you
and
needed
good
the whole time.
Positive for you.
Exactly. I just think it's such a beautiful album as a whole in that sense. I really feel like there's a whole path of recovery in it, and it's just so encouraging.
Sustainability, because those intense relationships always burn out.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not just, and I love it because it's not just showing you the daylight, it's not just showing you the happiness without showing you the work it takes to get there, or the bad things you may go through on the way that you mistake for daylight. Like, there's lots of, like, mistaking things for the happiness.
It's very human and very, like, down to earth in that sense.
It's acknowledging the whole process. It's acknowledging the fun and the self-doubt and your own problems and traumas and external issues and internal issues. It's acknowledging that all those things are going to contribute, and you need to work through all those things to get to this finish line. It's
an exuberant, like, expressive, dramatic representation of very normal life, being down to earth.
Right, and I think it's really interesting that it ends with her spoken part about what she wants to be remembered for, because it's a whole album about love, but then it ends with her realizing who she is, an actual self-awareness. Right. So it's like you work through all this love to figure out who you actually are at the end.
Right.
And not, like, through your relationship solely.
On the subject of, like, the theme of maturity, you know, in the sense of, like, when you become an adult, when you reach the age of majority, you do kind of find yourself like, wow, I actually have no idea what I'm doing, and like, clean slate in that sense.
Yeah.
And then at the end, in Daylight, she's looking forward, like, this is what I want to be remembered for. She's recognizing her own mortality in that way. She's having the existential crisis of the fact that she will not live forever.
Yeah.
You know, like,
brought up by, you know, soon you'll get better. Like, like, all these things tie in.
Exactly. Like, she's having not just a look of her past, present, but also now the future.
Yeah. And a lot of people talk about cutting this album down to about half to make it a perfect album, and I so don't agree, because I really...
Show me those people! I will fight with them in the rain.
I really, really feel like it showcases the whole process of figuring yourself out, figuring your political views out, figuring your friendships out, figuring where your home is. Like, it's figuring out all these aspects of self and starting over.
Right, and we think about these things as mistakes in our lives, but they're not, because you always find a way, or at least a healthy person should, in part of their recovery, find a way to make that something that is impactful in your life in a positive way.
Right.
That's really what being an adult is learning from those experiences and making lemonade in that sense.
Yeah, no, and I think it's so important because she's very private, but she's starting to be more open about, you know, these are my political views, and she's open about the fact she's had some mental health issues. She hasn't gone in particulars. Like, it's just been very much like, this has been hard. Here's what I figured out. Like, she admitted what a dark time reputation was, and you can tell. I love that album. You can tell it's like, that is like an unhealthy mindset to be in. And this is like coming out of it, and it just feels like, instead of showing off or instead of just showing the rewards, it's very much a here, let me take you with me. And I love that about the album. The album feels like having like a therapy buddy almost.
And that ties in with Daylight, because you really can't just you can't beam your thoughts into someone and convince them it will be all right, but you can try.
Yeah.
That's what this album is trying to do, is trying to tell you it's going to be okay. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay.
If you put in the work, it's going to be okay.
Exactly.
No, so
and then you have to. Like, there's no other way for you to live your life that you'll be happy with.
No, I think the album's great. I think it's so important and reassuring. I'm very in love with this album. It's very grounding to me. So I'm very thankful she put it out there. Very thankful she was so open and vulnerable with it, because it's not an easy thing to do, especially with her and how much she gets scrutinized. Like, this is not a very easy album to put out, I feel like.
No, and I agree that a lot of this is pretty subtle and people are not going to understand it.
No, I think a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just a bunch of like cute love songs. I'm like, no, there's more going on in this. But...
I agree, and you know, she's always been a very layered artist, but this one in particular really kind of knocked it out of the park.
And like I said, it feels very much like bringing you along and wanting to support you along the way too. It's like, here's what I figured out, let me pass that on. I really love it, without being lectury. It's not lectury
right
at all.
Exactly. It's not heavy-handed or like preachy,
which is the point of it being subtle. Like,
exactly.
I love it.
It's there for people who need to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love it, and I definitely needed to hear it, so I'm grateful for it.
As did I.
Alright, I think I probably babbled about the album long enough. I could go for another hour. So that's it for now, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.
And I'll be over on my channel. Bye.